to give you my heart.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Discovering Knowledge. I am Priyanshi Singh, and in our today's video we are going to discuss our class 7 chapter 2, which is nutrition in animals. In our previous video we have discussed our class 7 science chapter 1, which is nutrition in plants. If you haven't watched that video, then you can go to the description box. You will find a link there. You have already studied in your class 6 that food itself is made up of many small substances. Try to recall those components of food. They are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, roughage, fiber, etc. If we look at component of food such as carbohydrate, is a very complex substance. And these complex substances cannot be utilized as such. So these complex substances have to be broken down into simple substances. Like as you all can see here, we have a complex substance here, like we have assumed carbohydrate. So it cannot be utilized as such. So what we need to do is to break down into simple substances. So the breakdown of complex components of food into these simple substances is called digestion. And in this chapter we are going to discuss about digestion in brief and many other various factors. Now let's talk about the different ways of taking food. As we all know that the taking of food in different animals varies. Like if we talk about bees and hummingbirds, the bees and hummingbirds suck the nectar of the plants. If we talk about the infants of humans and many other animals, they feed on their mother's milk. If we talk about the snakes, for example, let's take python, it swallows the animal they prey upon. So that's some of the examples, and there are so many other examples too. So that's how the different ways of taking food work. There are different types of animals, and the different types of intaking takes place in them all. Now let's talk about the digestion in humans in brief. For most of us, what happens to the food inside the body once a meal has been consumed is something of a mystery. And as with so many aspects of human digestive system, this is a journey well worth taking. Why do you think food should have all the fun? So let's first talk about the humans' digestive system, because as we all are humans here, I hope we are not taking any assumptions here. Humans have a pretty good all-purpose digestive system. As you all can see here, this is a human digestive system. These color parts will show the organs. Now, let's first know that what exactly is digestion. So by the term digestion, it is the process. Digestion is a process by which food is broken down into simple substances. Simple absorbable substances is known as digestion. Let's repeat the definition again. Digestion, it is the process by which food is broken down into simple absorbable substances is known as digestion. डाइजेशन में हम क्या हो रहा है कि ये एक ऐसा प्रोसेस है जहाँ पे जो हमारा फूड हमने कोई भी खाया है वो क्या हो रहा है, हमने क्या पढ़ा था कि फूड जो है वो क्या होता है, फूड जो होता है वो बहुत सारे सिंपल कंपोनेंट से मिलके बना होता है, एंड बहुत से ऐसे कंपोनेंट ऐसे होते हैं जो बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं. ये जो कॉम्प्लेक्स कंपोनेंट्स होते हैं हमको इनको ब्रेक डाउन करना पड़ता है सिंपल सब्सटेंसेस में, ताकि ये क्या हो सके, डाइजेस्ट हो सके. तो इसी को हम क्या कहते हैं, डाइजेशन. द प्रोसेस बाय विच फूड इज ब्रोकन डाउन इनटू सिंपल एब्जॉर्बेबल सब्सटेंसेस इज नोन एज डाइजेशन. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट वी टेक इन फूड थ्रू द माउथ. Whatever you have taken, first of all you take it in the mouth, digest and utilize it. Then what happens is, once you have taken a meal or consumed a meal or have eaten a food, then it will digest. First it will digest in the mouth, then in the various parts. So what we are saying is, we take in food through the mouth, digest and utilize it, then उसका इस्तेमाल भी होगा. So that's why we know ना, like कि why we eat food, because we need energy. हम जब खाना खाते हैं तो बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें होती है जिनका हमें बेनिफिट मिलता है, राइट. it repairs the damaged tissues, etc., and the energy part, right? So we take in food through the mouth, digest it and utilize it. यूटिलाइज करते हैं हम उसका, हमारी बॉडी में उसका काम हो रहा है. द अनयूज्ड पार्ट्स, और जो हमारा बचा हुआ ऐसा जो बचा हुआ जो हमारा जो बच चुका है फूड, जो हमारी बॉडी को नहीं नीड है जिस चीज़ की, तो वो क्या करेगा, उस अनयूज्ड पार्ट को ऑफ द बॉडी आर डिफिकेट, वो क्या करते हैं, हम एक्सक्रीट कर देते हैं, डिफिकेट कर देते हैं. नाउ लेट्स सी. Now, have you ever wondered that what exactly happens to the food inside your body? So the food passes through a continuous canal. जो food होगा वो क्या करेगा, पास करेगा एक continuous canal से, like this. Okay, so the food will passes through a continuous canal and which begins at the buccal cavity. हमारी ये जो कंटिन्यूस कैनाल है, जिसको हम एलिमेंट्री कैनाल भी कहते हैं, ये कहाँ से बिगिन होती है, ये हमारे माउथ से बिगिन हो रही है. ओके, सो दिस the food passes through a continuous canal and this starts from the buccal cavity. यहाँ से हमारा शुरू होगा, क्योंकि यहाँ से ही हम food intake कर रहे हैं, right? So food will the process will start from here and the canal which begins at the buccal cavity, यहाँ से हमारी canal start हो रही है and it will end here and ends at the anus. हमारी यहाँ पे जो anus आपको शो हो रही है, इस anus पे हमारी क्या हो रही है, आके जो हमारी जो canal है वो end हो रही है, right? So the canal can be divided into various compartments, और ये जो हमारी canal है ये different compartments में divide हो सकती है. Now let's see those various components of the alimentary canal. First of all, our first element is, and one more thing, you should write all of these names and all of the things that I am writing in the board, so this can help you like the short notes. Okay, so first thing is the buccal cavity. Here is the buccal cavity, the mouth. Okay, then we have the food pipe. This thing here is the food pipe and we also call it esophagus. Then the food will go to the stomach. Then the canal consists of small intestine here, and then the large intestine, this green, and then the large intestine ending in the rectum. This large intestine will end in this here, the rectum, and then in the last there is the anus. Okay, from where the excretion will happen or take place. This all is known as the alimentary canal. The alimentary canal, or we can say the digestive tract. The digestive tract and the associative glands, there are so many glands which are associated to this digestive system. So all the digestive tract and the associative glands together will form the digestive system. And here is the digestive system. That's how our digestive system looks like. In our digestive system, now let's see that what happens in that particular parts of the alimentary canal. Let's first see what is the sequence of digestion process before starting with the parts. So first of all, the ingestion, then the digestion, the absorption, then the assimilation, and then in the last the egestion will take place. So this is the sequence. You should write it down in your notebook. Now let's come to the first part, the buccal cavity, or let's look at here, ingestion. The process of taking food into the body is known as ingestion. So this is the first step in the digestion process, the ingestion. So let's first see the mouth and the buccal cavity, because from here our food is being taken into our body. The teeth will cut the food into small pieces, right? We have sharp teeth. We have some different types of teeth. So these teeth will do is the cutting of the food into small pieces and grind it and chew it, right? So for these different works, we have different types of teeth in our mouth. The saliva glands, here we have the salivary glands which will secrete the saliva. The tongue helps in mixing saliva, and we have a tongue here. So where you can see that the tongue will help in the mixing of the saliva with the food. Okay, then, and one more thing, the salivary glands will secrete saliva, and you know there are so many glands which are associated with our digestive system, right? So salivary gland is one of them. The salivary gland will secrete saliva, and saliva has amylase enzymes which will convert the starch into sugar. Now let's see This leads, and now finally in the mouth, this all things will happen. The food will cut, and the teeth will help in the grinding, chewing, and the cutting of the food. And then the salivary glands will help in the further digestion process. And then this will lead to the esophagus. Esophagus means this food pipe. Now let's see what happens in the food pipe. Now let's discuss the type of teeth and their function. So first of all, let's play a little bit of game. I'm gonna ask you some few easy questions and you have to answer them. And you can also answer them in the comment section box. So let's start. Main functions of teeth. This is a very general question that whenever we eat something, then what is the main function of the teeth? What they help in? Yes. So let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is chewing. The teeth help us in chewing, grind, or we can also say these things. Now, teeth, how many teeth adults have? This is also a very basic question. So absolutely you're right, it's 32. Now, how many sets of teeth do we have in a lifetime? We have 2 sets of teeth. And what are those teeth sets? 2 sets are primary teeth and permanent teeth. Primary teeth came in the age of approx 6 to 8 years, and they are also known as the milk teeth or the baby teeth that we say, which fall off when we become adult. The next teeth after these milk teeth fall off, the permanent teeth, which is also known as the second set of teeth, which comes after the milk teeth are fallen. Now, how many types of teeth do we have? Yes, you are right. We have 4 types of teeth. Now let's discuss them. Now let's see the 4 types of teeth. The first one is incisor, second one is canine, third one is premolars, and the fourth one are the molars, which are at the last of our teeth. First is incisor. That's how incisors kind of look like. That's how canine looks like, and that's how premolars and the molars. Incisors are there are 4 incisors in each jaw. There are total 2 canines in each jaw. There are total 4 premolars in each jaw, and there are total 6 molars in each jaw. The incisors helps in the biting of food. So how they helps in the biting? First of all, they are in the front. Okay. As you all can see in the screen, you will be able to see the diagram of teeth. So the front ones are the incisors. They are 4 in numbers and they help in the biting. Whenever you eat something, so what happens is, first of all, they come, वो हमेशा अपने आगे जो पार्ट होता है मुंह का, उधर से अपन सबसे पहले बाइट करना शुरू करते हैं, लाइक वी आर ईटिंग चिप्स और समथिंग, सो राइट. सो बाइटिंग के लिए सबसे ज्यादा अपने इंसीजर्स काम आते हैं. नेक्स्ट वी हैव कैनाइन्स. कैनाइन्स जो होते हैं वो टीयरिंग ऑफ फूड के लिए काम आता है, बिकॉज दे आर वेरी शार्प. ओके. देन वी हैव प्रीमोलर्स. These are 4, okay, and these are for grinding of food. Then we have molars, and these are also for grinding. Okay, and at the end we also have the wisdom tooth. Now let's talk about the esophagus, because now we are done with the mouth. That what happens in the mouth. Now let's come to the food pipe. So now after the mouth we will come to the esophagus. In esophagus what happens is, it is a hollow muscular food pipe that carries food and liquid from the throat to your stomach through peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement की हेल्प से यहाँ से अपना खाना जो है वो नीचे की तरफ कहाँ जाएगा? स्टमक में जाएगा. So what happens in the esophagus or the food pipe is कि एक hollow muscular food pipe होती है सबसे पहले तो, and यहाँ पे ये कैरी करती है फूड को या फिर लिक्विड को थ्रोट से कहाँ पे? टू योर स्टमक थ्रू पेरिस्टाल्टिक मूवमेंट. और यहाँ से फिर फूड कहाँ चला जाएगा? फ्रॉम द esophagus or the food pipe, the food will now enters to the stomach. Now let's see what happens in your stomach is that your stomach contains some enzymes and acids it produce. Our stomach will produces some acids and enzymes. This mixture of the enzymes and the digestive juices will break down the food, and so it can pass to your small intestine. That means from here the food will pass into here, the small intestine, as you all can see. So what happens is कि small intestine में हमारे बहुत सारे enzymes, acids and digestive juices जो हो रहे हैं वो produce होते हैं यहाँ पे. एंड उसकी मदद से जो हमारा फूड है जो ऑलरेडी थोड़ा बहुत यहाँ पे हमारे सिंपल सब्सटेंस में हो चुका है कन्वर्ट, वो और वहाँ पे क्या होता है डाइजेस्ट हो जाता है, और वो जो मिक्सचर होता है एंजाइम्स का एंड डाइजेस्टिव जूसेस का वो ब्रेक डाउन करता है फूड को, सो ताकि वो आप किस में पास कर पाएगा स्मॉल इंटेस्टाइन में. सो नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस इन द स्मॉल. Now, after the food has entered the small intestine, let's see what happens in the small intestine. In the small intestine, it is the site of complete digestion. So, in our small intestine, the complete digestion finally happens. It absorbs the digested food completely. Okay, it is going to absorb all the digested food completely, and there are two more points, that it secretes intestinal juice and it absorbs all the nutrients. And after this, the food will enter the large intestine. That means this green portion is your. Now let's come to the large intestine. In the large intestine, as you all can see here, will absorb the water. Large intestine, what is its function is? Large intestine function is to absorb the water and changes the waste from liquid to stool. It will change the liquid to stool. Peristalsis help move the stool into rectum. Now that whatever the food which is not needed by the our body is now converted into stool in the large intestine, and now it will come to the rectum through the peristalsis movement. Now what happens in the rectum? Rectum will store the stool until it pushes out of your anus. Now what happens is, in the end, the rectum will store it until it will push out from the anus during the bowel movement. So that's how it happens. Let's revise it again. That first of all, from the mouth, the food will enter from the mouth, the buccal cavity, through our teeth or our salivary glands and our tongue. These three things will help in the to make that complex substance into simple substances, right? The teeth will chew, grind and cut the food, and the tongue will help in mixing it with the saliva, and the salivary gland will secrete the saliva, which help in the which contains amylase, which help in the conversion of starch into sugar. Then what happens is the food will enter the esophagus or the food pipe. Here, through peristaltic movement, the food will enter to the stomach. In the stomach will secrete some acids and juices, so through which the food will further convert into some simple substances, and then it will comes to the after the stomach, it will enters the small intestine. In the small intestine, further the complete absorption will happen, and then it will enters the large intestine. In the large intestine, as we know now, that it will absorb the water and it will change that waste from liquid to stool. This is the main point you have to remember in the large intestine. Then what happened? Through the peristaltic help, the stool will enter the rectum. In the rectum, it will contain the stool until it will through the bowel movement, it will go out from the anus. Now there is also a very important topic in your this chapter, digestion in grass eating animals. So have you ever seen the animals like the cows, the buffaloes? They are chewing again and again even when they are not eating food, right? So what exactly happens? So these animals quickly swallow the grass and store it in a part of stomach called rumen. So what happen is, these animals, which are like, for example, the cow, it will eat the grass quickly and then it will swallow it. Swallow मतलब निगलना, उसको वो निगल लेगी फटाफट से, and वो जो उसने निगला है वो स्टोर हो जाएगा, वो इकट्ठा हो जाएगा उसके स्टमक में, जिसको अपन कहते हैं rumen. You can, on one more thing, you can also write these things. It will be like a key short notes. Again, I am repeating, so just write it down whenever I am not standing in front of the board. So these animals quickly swallow the grass and store it in a part of stomach which we call as rumen. You need to remember these words, which call as rumen. Here the food gets partially digested. Now what happen is, it will partially digest. Partially मतलब आधा digest हो जाएगा and called cut, and it will be known as cut. Now there is one more new word for you. These are some words that you need to remember, and like these are interrelated, so like kind of similar, so you can learn it easily. Okay, so here the food will get partially digested and called cut. Now later this cut that here the partially digested okay, food, it will later, this curd will return to the mouth and in a small lumps, मतलब छोटे छोटे ऐसे lumps में ये वापस रिटर्न करेगा, राइट, एंड द एनिमल चूज इट, एंड एनिमल जो है वो उसको वापस च्यू करने लग जाएगा, इसलिए ही वो बार बार उसको च्यू करते रहते हैं, क्योंकि फटाफट से पहले तो स्वॉलो कर लेते हैं उस ग्रास को, उसके बाद में वो उसको स्टोर कर लेते हैं स्टमक को, जिसको अपन रूमिन कहते हैं, फिर वो पार्शली डाइजेस्ट हो जाता है खाना, वो जो रूमिन में है जिसको अपन कट कहते हैं, वही कट वापस उनके माउथ में आएगा, माउथ में आने के बाद उसको फिर वापस क्या करेंगे स्मॉल लम्स की तरह, एंड वो जो एनिमल है उसको वापस च्यू करेंगे, इस पूरे प्रोसेस को अपन क्या कहते हैं, रूमिनेशन. You need to write this. This is a very important definition. Okay, and those who do this are known as ruminants. What we call them ruminants. जो ये शो करते हैं उन्हें हम कहते हैं, those who show this are known as ruminants. The grass that those animals like the cow, buffalo and the cattle eat is rich in cellulose. Now this is also one more important thing, that the grass is rich in cellulose, a type of carbohydrate. So what happens is in ruminants, बैक्टीरिया प्रेजेंट इन रूमिन, उनके रूमिन में बैक्टीरिया प्रेजेंट होता है जो कि उनको हेल्प करता है सेलुलोज को डाइजेस्ट करने के लिए. बट व्हाट अबाउट द एनिमल्स एंड द ह्यूमन, और जो एनिमल्स और जो अपन ह्यूमन बींग्स होते हैं, अपन इसको डाइजेस्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं सेलुलोज को. इनके पास एक स्पेशल, इनके पास बैक्टीरिया प्रेजेंट होते हैं, इस वजह से इनके रूमिन्स में इसलिए ही ये डाइजेस्ट कर पाते हैं सेलुलोज को. Now, there is a question arises that, but many small organisms which do not have a mouth and a digestive system, then how do they acquire and digest food? So this is a really very important question, that what happens to them? So let's understand this. Now let's understand the feeding and digestion in amoeba, that what exactly happens in the feeding and digestion in amoeba. So as first let's understand that exactly how amoeba looks like, what is the structure of amoeba. Let's see inside the amoeba. So in amoeba there is, first of all, this is a pseudopodia, these are the nucleus, this is the nucleus, this is the food particle that it is going to intake, and then these are the food vacuoles, and this is the digested waste. Now let's see. Amoeba is, first of all, is a microscopic single celled organism. Okay, so it is a microscopic, matlab we cannot see it with our naked eyes. Okay, so it is a microscopic and single celled organism. So, and you can also write these short tips type notes, it can help you in exam times.